Hello everyone, Void here, coming back at you all with kind of a sad story. It's a little bit old, it's like 2 weeks old, but it's really going to tie into what I want to talk about, which is the sad state of affairs with our local game stores. And just how crazy everything is with MTG Finance right now. You have all these old cards just spiking, tripling in value. Like revised edition dual lands that are now worth over $1,000. This is the kind of thing I couldn't predict. I would have told you a year ago, with all this lockdown stuff just beginning, that there's no way that happens. If anything, they lose a third of their value, but they ended up tripling. You have some cards that are just worth a lot of money because they're old, and I thought, like 10, 20 years down the road that would happen anyway, but in like a year's time, we see just insane jumps and spikes. But right here, this is, it's kind of funny. It's sad, of course, but this is like the most Magic the Gathering way someone could steal from a store. Man allegedly steals Magic the Gathering cards and then threatens the store employee with a curved sword. So if someone is going to steal, like a Library of Alexandria, they're going to steal some of those old Arabian Nights cards. The best way to do it, or the way that's the most flavorful, is with a scimitar. That right there gave me a good laugh. This sucks, though, for the game store because, there's only so much you can do. I can't tell you how many times I've heard stories about people being stolen from, and they just never find these people. It's even harder now when, literally everyone is outside wearing a mask. So how do you identify this person? Oh, he was wearing a mask, like everyone else in the population. It was a red and yellow face mask. I'm sure he doesn't have any other face masks he can wear in the meantime, but it had the lightning logo of the Flash on it, so he's a Barry Allen fan. Look out, everyone, we have a nerd here. That is just so funny. I'm sorry, but you have a guy with a curved sword, and he has a Flash face mask on. So let's read a little bit more about this. The new Westminster Police Department says a man allegedly stole bundles of Magic the Gathering cards and threatened a store employee with a curved sword. On February 2nd, the new Westminster Police Department says it received a report of a theft from a local game store. The suspect reportedly placed several Magic the Gathering card bundles into a large bag when a store employee confronted him. At this point, the suspect allegedly brandished a curved sword and fled to a nearby exit. So he's a red and yellow face mask with the lightning logo of the Flash. The suspect is described as a Caucasian male between 20 to 40 years of age. That ought to narrow it down. For a second there, I thought he might have been like a kid or a senior citizen. A bandage on his left hand, wearing a dark-colored rain jacket with a hood, a dark t-shirt, gray pants, white runners with dark-colored laces, a red and yellow face mask with the lightning logo of the Flash on it, carrying a big blue Costco brand cooler bag. If you believe you know who the suspect is, we encourage you to reach out to our investigators, stated Sergeant Sanjay Kumar. We are reviewing security camera footage to try to identify the person responsible for the theft. If anyone has information on this incident, they are asked to call 604-525-5411. So I'm guessing this is not in the States, because if it was, it would be someone brandishing a gun. But this just really ties into what I want to talk about. It's how local game stores, you don't even need this kind of stuff to happen. And they were already lambs to the slaughter. I don't talk about this a lot just because I try to stay positive on my channel. But Magic the Gathering stores, if you're a game store, if you went through that process of getting sanctioned for tournaments, events, this wasn't even just the pandemic, the lockdowns that hurt you, it was even before then. I kind of talked about this a little bit with The Secret Lair, Walking Dead, how just an oversaturation of these specialty products, how you can buy them online, how Wizards of the Coast is just going a mile out of their way to abandon the local game store. This was even before. They were doing this several years before, and obviously they're not responsible for someone threatening a store with a curved sword. I'm not trying to say that, but we're just talking about how something like this doesn't even need to happen. You don't even need to be robbed or brandished with a gun or a sword. You don't need to have any of that happen, and you were still in a pretty bad position. I've had my local game stores closed down. I've had one that's pretty much on life support, and the only way they've managed to stay open is because they just sell so many different things. They have so much merchandise. They have a large customer base, but they're struggling. I see the secondary market doing really well. The spikes people are interested in buying these cards. And while I don't treat the game like it's some investment, it would be nice to know that there was a place to go to where this all amounted to something. And now there are just so many game stores that are closed down. Is the game that fun anymore? When you know there's been little effort on the part of Wizards of the Coast to really highlight the game store like they used to. They used to put it front and center. Here's Friday Night Magic, here's a place to go. You really want to get into the game consistently, you want to play, you want to get good, this is the only real place to do it. I don't see that anymore. I really don't. I just see an oversaturation of promo cards, products that you can just throw onto Hasbro, their little web store, and just sell to people online and just cut out the local game store altogether. And for all the people who think that game stores were eventually going to go the way of Blockbuster Video, that's not necessarily true. The game stores that really did a good job, they succeeded. Like, we've all been to terrible game stores. We've been to game stores that really don't do that well. It's not what the store is selling, it's the quality. It's how they carry themselves. If you're at a game store and they just offer you so many different services, they're going to do really well. They're going to be packed every event. In a game store I went to that recently closed down because of these lockdowns, they couldn't afford to stay open. Their customer base, it went from 100 to 0. So they were hung out to dry. That's what really upsets me about this whole situation, and I think I needed to make a video to let it be known. I enjoy playing the game, but I have no illusions when it comes to Wizards of the Coast. I'm not expecting them to go out of their way to help game stores. I'm not expecting them to help the little guy anymore. It's so clear once they created Magic Arena that everything's just been about how can we branch out to Twitch streaming, how can we do all this stuff? How can we get more eyeballs on this part of the game? But the old school Magic players, the ones who did the most difficult thing in the community, that's organize events where they wouldn't even make that much money. I mean, ask anyone who owns a game store. It's not the event itself that rakes in the dough. It's the people, it's the customers, it's the community that you built. The people who come back regularly. And that used to be a rather exclusive thing. And I was saying this back in 2017 with Iconic Masters. People gave me a hard time about that video I made back then. But I was saying it back then. I was talking about how you can't just treat the local game store like it's an inconvenience because these people are suffering. These are the people that helped build your game, and you're just hanging them out to dry. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, or not, I guess. Not really an uplifting topic, but just thought I would put it out there. Game stores are having a very difficult time here, no matter where you are. And stuff like this, it doesn't help. People have to be better than that, stealing from stores. Just remember that they have probably the most difficult job in the whole community. Anyway, Void here signing off. See you all next time.